The fourth episode of What If came out today, and I have to say, this one was actually pretty good. This one was really good. It was really dark, and of course, spoiler warning in this review, because I just like to make these quick, shorter reviews where I just talk spoilers about the entire episode and just talk about everything. And I don't know if this is my favorite episode yet. I honestly don't know where it ranks amongst the other ones, but there are many elements to this one that I think were like the best out of all the episodes. And of course, I'm going to dive into that today in this video. But I have to say, I threw this on, it's like 4:30 right now. I threw it on maybe an hour ago, and I was like, okay, you know, I've liked the other episodes. They've been good, nothing really special. They've been pretty good. And this one was very different. It felt like it had the most stakes, and it was extremely emotional. That's what everybody's saying in the review, and I apologize if you watch other ones and you come to this review expecting something different. I'm just gonna say it. This was an extremely emotional episode, and I think it only would have worked that way. And this episode deals with what if Stephen Strange has lost his heart as opposed to his hands. That's basically, you know, that's me paraphrasing the title, because, you know, in Doctor Strange, you know, when they get in a car crash, he loses his hands, everything like that, and becomes Doctor Strange. But in this one, he loses Christine, and then, you know, that kind of breaks him emotionally. And there's some really interesting things with the multiverse and everything. And one of the biggest things that comes at the end of the episode is pretty cool, is that with like the Ancient One, she splits Doctor Strange into like basically two different versions of himself in the same timeline. And I think the way that was handled was really cool, because you get to see like more of a, it's like a Stephen Strange versus evil Doctor Strange. Like sure, you could say Doctor Strange versus evil Doctor Strange, but I think Stephen Strange versus evil Doctor Strange is like the best way to describe it. And their whole fight was quite amazing at the end of the episode. But the thing I liked most about this one was the emotion and how like important it felt to the other ones. Again, I'm not 100% sure if this is canon. I know that there's like comics and everything. I know that's a big reason why a lot of people really love this show. For me, again, good show, nothing really great, not as good as I feel the other shows here, like Loki, the shirt I'm wearing. But this episode, I think it might have been the best one. But some of the things that I liked the most about this episode as compared to the other ones, now episode 3 was also pretty good, but I think this is the first episode where the animation didn't feel off to me at all. I mentioned that in all 3 of my previous reviews about how the animation feels weird, but in this one, I don't know what it was, but for me, the animation didn't feel off at all. The mouths kind of lined up everything, and I really love that Benedict Cumberbatch came back for this, and Rachel McAdams, and like everybody, like they basically all came back for this. So I'm really glad, because you can always tell when it's somebody different, when we're so used to a voice for the past 10 years or whatever. Like we're talking about Doctor Strange the past 5 years, and I like that they came back for it. And Benedict Cumberbatch's acting was so good. His voice acting, you really feel it. He has some like screams in this, like emotional cries for help. Basically, that's a really over dramatic way to describe it, but they really work here. And there are definitely times in this episode where maybe it did get a bit too much. Like there are definitely some things that it shows how crazy the whole Doctor Strange magic and all this can get. And yeah, a few times I was like, okay, maybe it's a little over the top, but I also totally understand it. I think that the fight at the end worked really well for the most part. The whole thing with like the evil Doctor Strange kind of like getting all the power from the different creatures was interesting to see. A bit I was gonna say a bit strange, no pun intended, like a bit different, but I did really kind of enjoy it for what I was watching. I do think this is probably my favorite episode, as I've said a few times in this one, and I like the deep dive into the characters, and it makes Stephen Strange feel more humane when we realize, you know, like when he loses something, it totally changes him. And I like how they explore like the absolute point. I think that's what they call it in this episode, because Stephen Strange, he just keeps going and going and going, trying to change this to save Christine. And it got at the point where I was like, okay, why do they keep killing her in all these different ways? But then when the absolute point thing is explained, I think it really works. This episode was pretty good, honestly. It might be the best one yet. It's either this one or episode 2, and I've enjoyed them all so far. Like, this show is solid. It's nothing special to me. I know a lot of people do love the show. I could never really see myself rewatching it, but I will say every week when I watch it, I enjoy it. I don't wake up early to watch it, but I did really enjoy this episode. I think that it has so many elements that really make it stand above the other ones, and the stakes being higher kind of made it feel more important as opposed to like the rest of the episodes. And I'm excited for next week, which I wasn't really saying in the last ones, but I am excited for next week. I really don't know what it's about. I think it has something to do with Thor. I'm not 100% sure, but what did you think of this episode? Is it your favorite one yet? I know a lot of people on IMDb are just loving this episode, so let me know all that down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Over and out.